What's up, everybody? Welcome to Fantasy Sports Now. Week 11, pitchers to stream and two-start pitchers to look at for this week in fantasy baseball. Normally, we look at our kind of successes and all that fun stuff, but honestly, I've been gardening for 12 straight hours, and it is almost midnight here, and so I just want to jump into Week 11. Week 10, I know we picked Drew Smiley. He pitched pretty well. Cole Irvin, he got totally screwed. He went 6 innings. He got into like a little bit of trouble, but he had thrown only 62 pitches and they took him out and they immediately gave up that game. So that was brutal to watch after watching him and being like, oh man, I can't wait to report on this guy. Wainwright pitched well. Even Lester was okay this last week. I'm sure we didn't nail them all. That's fine. Let's jump into week 11 because that's what I want to do, guys. I just want to jump right into this thing. Let's start looking at guys. And as always, we're looking at under 50% owned in all leagues, at least according to this site. These guys should be available in every single, well, not every single league, but at least half the leagues. We're looking at guys that are hardly owned in any league. So most of these guys we could pick up. Starting off on Monday, I'm going right back to the Adam Wainwright train again. He seems to be pitching well with bad matchups. Well, I should say good matchups. Miami is always a pretty good matchup. He pitched well last inning, last game, 7 innings, 6 Ks. And it's another good matchup for him. So I really do like this. Another one I'm eyeing. I know a couple weeks ago I said like Matthew Boyd is such a roller coaster, but he kind of roller coastered his way into good fortune for me. Last start he looked pretty good. I don't mind Matt Boyd, and I also don't mind Brad Keller. So I think honestly, whoever you think is going to win this game, this is not a bad start. And of course, John Lester, who got bumped, is now pitching against Pittsburgh. But I'm a little leery. Pittsburgh seems to be hitting well. Brian Reynolds is on fire. Adam Frazier is awesome. Brian Hayes is back, so I'm a little more, sane this week in saying that I'm probably not gonna go there this time. Tuesday, we'll see an interesting name, one that I don't think we ever thought we'd see on here. But there's not a lot of games on Tuesday, so if I'm going to stream and I'm applying my rule of 50%, it feels like cheating. But if Patrick Corbin is available in your league, he does have a good matchup. I know I just said Pittsburgh's hitting well, and Patrick Corbin has not been pitching well. I mean, just look at the stats over here, guys. His ERA is crazy inflated. He's not striking people out. Something seems like something's wrong. I don't know if he's hurt or what's going on. Now Scherzer's out and Strasburg's out, obviously. Corbin is not pitching well. So this is why Washington is in the bottom of the barrel. A lot of people always want, man, why is Washington playing so bad? Well, there's your answer. Patrick Corbin has not been getting it done, and I'm sure all of these reasons are really selling you on taking him, on Tuesday. But at some point, I do believe that Patrick Corbin is going to at least salvage this season. Right now, he's dropped 50% of leagues. He was owned in 100% of leagues going into the season. So I think at some point this train turns around, and I think this. I don't want to say this could be the week, but I feel like any week could be the week. I'm taking Patrick Corbin as my pickup and see what he can do. And he's one of those that I'm gonna feel like I'm gonna pick him up, and if he pitches well, I'm gonna kind of keep him around potentially. So we'll see what happens here. Wednesday, don't actually like a lot of these matchups. The one I went with actually kind of crazy is Scooble here, my boy from Detroit. I'm picking a lot of Detroit guys. I want to click in here, and if this thing loads, which apparently it might not, that's unfortunate. I wanted to show you guys his last 3 starts. Let's try that again here. All right, it's apparently not going to do it. So his last 3 starts, 8 Ks, 11 Ks, and 6 Ks in his previous one. His last start wasn't as good as the previous 2. He's got 2 out of 3 wins, and he's looked really good. If Kansas City goes up there and starts hacking away like they did this last week against Oakland, he's going to rack up a ton of strikeouts. So I actually really like that matchup, despite the fact that I really do think Kansas City's lineup is pretty good. J.A. Happ is always a good start, it seems like, because he always seems to be pitching against kind of lesser teams. At Seattle's always a good start. Always like that. Normally I would take a Merrill Kelly, but at San Fran, they always seem to score. It's, yeah. So let's move on here. Thursday is my punt day. This isn't real. Ohtani's owned in more than 50% of leagues. I still don't know why he's on here. That seems just crazy to me. So I don't like any of these matchups. Normally, I kind of be like, okay, who's Wade Miley going up against? Oh, he's going up against San Diego. I do the same thing for John Gant. You've probably heard me say his name plenty of times. Oh, John Gant, who's he going up? Atlanta. Charlie Morton's been kind of a roller coaster, but I don't really like anything that's going on here. So I'm probably going to skip Thursday unless people have rainouts or games get punted. On Friday, we kind of have a similar situation to the Boyd and who was it, Singer or Keller, sorry, situation on Monday. Kikuchi I like, and Fleming I also like. I think Kikuchi is a guy who strikes out a lot, as you can kind of see here. Won an inning, and Tampa Bay is a team that strikes out a lot. And then Fleming on the other side, Tampa Bay is a team that wins a lot, and Seattle isn't a team that wins a lot. So I kind of expect this game to go where Kikuchi gets a ton of Ks and Fleming wins the game. Fleming does not go very deep into games, though, I will say that. So I first would take Kikuchi and then Fleming if I was going to pick. But it's an interesting battle, so take who you think's going to win that game there, because I like both of them, honestly. So I guess it depends. If you're in a category league and you need Ks, obviously you're going Kikuchi. If you need wins, then it's more of a toss up. Zach Davies is the other one. He's been better. He hasn't been himself, but he has been better. I don't like that he's pitching against Lopez because obviously this dude's a stud, but Miami's offense is not. And, I expect Davies to kind of continue to pitch well, build a little momentum. I think he's creeping up here in the percent. He dipped, obviously, like horribly. He just went to the rock bottom, and I think he's starting to make his way back up there a little bit. So moving on to Saturday, I keep going to the Austin Gomber well here, and I think that it's justified. Let's see the matchup here. Milwaukee did hit well today, but traditionally they don't really hit all that well. I think they're in the bottom half easily, probably bottom third on offense. Adrian Hauser isn't, Burns or Woodruff, so I like that matchup as well. And then for me, he's pitched well. He's getting 6, 7 Ks an outing. He had 2 wins over the last couple of weeks here, and I just like Austin Gomber. I think that this trade obviously was brutal, but at the end of the day, at least they've got something back that is salvageable from that brutal trade. The other one, I like Wainwright and I like Drew Smiley. I like them both. This is kind of like the Friday, the Kikuchi matchup and the Boyd matchup. I really, at Atlanta it's not the greatest. Atlanta can rather go off or they are brutal. And so it's hard to say with this one. I do like Smiley because St. Louis is actually kind of similar. I feel like they're either the top of the order mashes and the rest of the lineup is awful or all of them are awful. So, I'm sitting here and I'm sitting here thinking I like both of these matchups, but at the same time, I kind of don't actually. So I might take those both away. I might just be sitting on Gomber here this week. You got Patrick Sandoval is at Detroit, but Detroit seems to hit bad pitching, which is interesting. Jake Arrieta, Miami. Do we really trust Arrieta? Not really. Matthew Boyd against Sandoval. That's not bad. LA is another one of these teams that rather clobbers you or is brutal. So I'm sticking with Gomber for Saturday. I'm taking those other guys off the list there. Moving on to Sunday, you could go back to the Patrick Corbin train if he pitches well. The Mets lineup still isn't all that healthy, so they have been hitting better, which is great. But we could go back to that well again if we see good signs of life here. John Gray has a good matchup, though he's been kind of shaky. He's been hurt. He's been a little all over the place, but that is an option for us. I always go back to Trevor Williams, but he never seems to provide me anything in return. So I'm not going there. I'm just not. I refuse. I'm out. If you're looking for K's, this might not be a bad option. Not a lot of innings. He doesn't go deep into games, so I don't want to pick Patrick Corbin because that feels like it's cheating again. But it's hard to say Sunday. It's almost a punt for me because I'm looking at this now. I had names written down, but I just don't like them now that I'm sitting here staring at it. So very interesting. Jump into some two-start pitchers. It's been really hard to do two-start pitchers, guys, because I feel like every time we do two-start pitchers, the guys that we like end up getting pushed back. They get bumped, whether it's rain or it's just naturally getting bumped back or whatever seems to happen. Now there aren't always a lot of two-start guys to look at for us because we're looking at guys that are only 50%, 30% of leagues. So there's not really that many good ones. Austin Gomber, like, yeah, I like this start, but I don't like this start. So a couple of guys that I do like if they actually can go too. I actually do like Matthew Boyd's matchup at Kansas City and at LA, so that's a pretty good one there. Also, I had Wainwright, who we talked about a couple of times, Miami and Atlanta. As a two start, I do like that. I think that that's good. Not I don't like this matchup, but I like this one, so I'd stay away there. But I think Patrick Corbin's going to be the other one. We talked about him already. I feel like we tend to talk about the two start guys within the streaming. If he's out there, guys, I know he's been brutal and such a hard ad, but it might be a buy low opportunity, or you just cut him again. That's my advice if he's still sitting there. Usually, in most leagues, there's one guy off your bench that you can get rid of. So we'll see what he does here, guys. Appreciate all you guys who watch, and we'll see you next time, next week. Hit the sub button if you want. Cool. We'll see you guys.